Coming up, History News This Week, Episode 36. Namaste friends, my name is Shilil Subramanian Paimal and you are listening to the Histology Podcast. Welcome to the 36th episode of History News This Week. Please note that History News This Week will be online every Sunday at 9:30 pm Indian Standard Time, that is 4 pm GMT. This week I have 7 interesting pieces of news items from the world of history and archaeology, followed by one article. Let's start. First, huge ancient city that was built 2500 years ago and lasted for 1000 years with a population of at least 10,000 has been found in Ecuador in the Amazon. A series of mounds and buried roads in Ecuador was first noticed more than 2 decades ago by archaeologist Stephen Rothstein. Recent mapping by laser sensor technology revealed those sites to be part of a dense network of settlements and connecting roads tucked into the forested foothills of the Andes that lasted about 1000 years. Second, pictured, the only man ever crucified in Britain, face of Roman slave found buried with 2-inch nail driven into his heel is reconstructed by groundbreaking technology. His skeleton was unearthed during an excavation in the Cambridgeshire village of Fanstanton back in 2017. Radiocarbon dating placed the find between 130 to 337 AD. The remains of the 5 feet 7-inch man, believed to have been in his mid-30s at the time of his death, were crucially found with a 2-inch nail driven through his heel bone. Experts subsequently concluded that he was the victim of the gruesome practice of crucifixion. Third, mysterious moat discovered in Jerusalem may have been used to divide the biblical city. Archaeologists have discovered a massive moat beneath a parking lot in Jerusalem, and they say the defense structure may have been used to divide the city during biblical times. Constructed of stone, the ancient moat is nearly 100 feet wide and 20 feet deep, and it sits at the bottom of a bedrock ditch. Based on the moat's location, researchers think it once separated much of the ancient city from important holy sites such as the Temple Mount, according to a study published in October 2023 in Tel Aviv Journal of the Institute of Archaeology of Tel Aviv University. Fourth, ancient Egyptian mummy mask, tombs, and God of Silence statue discovered at Saqqara. Archaeologists in Egypt have discovered a series of tombs dating from about 1800 to 4800 years ago, some of which contain colorful mummy masks and even the childlike statue of the God of Silence, according to the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. The colorful mummy masks, which would have been worn by the dead, probably date back to the Roman period, that is 29 BC to AD 641. Fifth, ancient fortified oasis discovered in Saudi Arabia. A fortification that surrounded the Khaybar Oasis some 4000 years ago has been found in the North Arabian Desert by researchers from the French National Center for Scientific Research and Saudi Arabia's Royal Commission for Al-Ula, according to a Cosmos magazine report. The 9 miles of walls, which were between 5 and 8 feet thick, enclosed more than 2,700 acres. Remains of more than 70 bastions set in the walls for the defense of the oasis settlement have been identified. This fortress was one of a network of walled oases in the region. Sixth, scientists discover what wiped out the largest great ape to ever live. An ancient species of great ape was likely driven to extinction when climate change put their favorite fruits out of reach during dry seasons. The species Gigantopithecus blacki, which once lived in the southern China, represents the largest great ape known to scientists, standing 10 feet tall and weighing up to 650 pounds. Seventh, archaeologists find continuous human settlement for 3,500 years in Vadnagar. An archaeological excavation at Vadnagar in the western Indian state of Gujarat by a team of scientists from IIT Kharagpur, Archaeological Survey of India, Physical Research Laboratory, Jawaharlal Nehru University and Deccan College has discovered evidence of human settlement dating back 1400 BCE. The find is significant as it plugs a gap in Indian archaeological history between 1500 BCE and 500 BCE and points to a continuity in human settlement in India over 5500 years. Now, coming to the sole article of the week. Fascinating vintage pictures capture what Egypt was really like before millions of tourists arrived and astounding discoveries made inside Tutankhamun's treasure-filled tomb. Serene desert landscape and a treasure trove of pyramid tombs still being discovered. This was Egypt a century ago, as a selection of fascinating vintage photos show. A gallery of black and white snaps selected by dailymail.com reveal what the ancient country looked like before tourism had taken hold. It's predicted that more than 13 million visitors descended on Egypt this year. But 100 years ago, the 5,000-year-old civilization was still being discovered by Westerners who were floored by the wonders they found. Latest history book release of the week. Half American, the heroic story of African Americans fighting World War II at home and abroad. Written by Matthew F. Delmont is a pick of the week. The book is a definitive history of World War II from the African American perspective by award-winning historian and civil rights expert. Also, Abbas Maldahiyar's latest book, Babur, the Chessboard King, is available for pre-order on Amazon India. The book is scheduled to release on the 19th of February 2024. History Podcast Recommendation of the Week. The History of Egypt, hosted by Dominic Perry, is a pick of the week. Uncover the world of the Nile Valley and its people by listening to Ancient Egypt, a podcast that tells the story of ancient Egypt in their own words. Through the use of text, art, and archaeology, you shall be transported to this fascinating time in history and gain insight into the lives of those who lived along the Nile River. I will provide links to all the news items, articles, books, and podcasts mentioned above in the show note. Please feel free to check them out. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the History News This Week. Hope you found it interesting. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Histology podcast on your favorite podcasting app and check histology.com for book reviews and interesting tidbits from the pages of history. Looking forward to hearing from you. Have a great day and take care. Bye.